So that.
Blake! I thought we were cool,
We're trying
Blake!
to record a podcast here, dude.
Oh, it's in the shop, Blake!
I thought
Maybe you
this
should
was
have got it earlier.
Yeah.
Jeepers Creepers!
That's your beer.
Welcome back to another episode of the Dingbat District Podcast. Thank you for coming in and watching another episode. We got a very fun, exciting episode today with someone I've known almost my whole tenure in comedy. We've got a very good friend of mine. Y'all make some noise for the Ruth Banks. Thank you for coming out. So, because I'm getting better about learning and remembering to do so, will you go ahead and plug up your social media and anything you have coming up so we can get this and the fans watching and following at home?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Ruth Banks, and searching that name may be the easiest way to find me because I made my username as confusing as possible. It's funny for a girl, but we've got some underscores in there. So it's funny underscore for a, spelled out, not the number, underscore girl. Funny for a girl. And if you want to follow me or see stuff I'm working on, follow me online. But I also have 2 albums out. One is called Screwed, and it's on like Spotify, Apple Music, all the places. And then I also have a special that came out called Braced, which you can find on YouTube. So.
Hey, yo, she's actually got a comedy special. So stop watching right here and go watch her comedy special, Braced, on YouTube. It's under Ruth Banks Comedy or Ruth, your YouTube name?
So it's actually on the Claws Out Comedy YouTube page.
That's right.
But you can search Ruth Banks Braced and you'll find it.
Right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So go watch that on the Claws Out Comedy page. I got to be honest, to start off the show, I remember for a long time, I hadn't met you yet, but I had just seen you through Instagram and like, oh, she's a comic, you might know her, suggested follows, and I followed you. And for a long time, I didn't read your name clearly, so I thought you were a way, we'll call it quirkier person, because I thought it was funny floral girl. So I just assumed this whole time that you were just the plant lady that just made funny jokes about having plants.
You know what's great about that is there was one time I went and was booked on a show that had printed out flyers, playbills, handed out at the show, and it had my username misprinted as Funny Flora Girl. And so I went up there and was like, as you saw on my entry in the playbill, my username is Funny Flora Girl.
Right.
All of my material is plant-based. What does, a flower say walking out of a cave, seeing the sunlight for the first time? They see Daisy. It was really bad. What does the flower do in church? They rose.
How long did you stick with this?
Those were the only 2 I had.
Okay.
I saw this maybe 5 minutes before I went on stage. So then I dropped it and was like, no, it was a misprint.
I've got to
I can't.
I've done that so many
this.
times. You're like, no, I got to drop the first minute of my set for this thing I haven't written down or thought out at all. I just thought of it right. I've ruined so many of my sets from doing that.
Well, that's the problem is it either goes so well or it ruins everything. Like, if you nail something that's topical about the environment, doesn't on the room that you're in a way that pisses off the bookers but makes the audience happy, it's so good because it's organic and they like you so much better. But if you piss off the booker by saying something mean about the venue, make the audience feel uncomfortable, or just say something not funny,
I've got to say this too, because shout out to Noah. He's the only place where I've on and not necessarily not felt bad, but like immediately didn't feel a threat about having brought that up. Because there was one time where I said, look at this place, the only place that does comedy and gives tetanus shots out for free. Because I definitely almost stepped on a rusty nail that was coming out of the floorboard of the stage because it was outside. It was a fun venue, though. And then as soon as I got off stage, there was just a grumpy lady with a pixie cut standing with her arms crossed over there waiting to talk to me. I'm like, I'm sorry about the tetanus thing. I didn't mean to say that. They had great margaritas. I'm not going to plug them. Hey, Blake, will you make sure that my cans are getting her voice? I don't know if they're getting picked up. I think I'm just hearing her.
Yeah, I'm getting her voice.
And
Okay.
am I supposed to have these on? I might get very loud if I have these on.
That's fine. That's what the pitching is for.
Okay.
The one thing about it is it gives you a false sense of we can hear everything that's happening on the TV. So once we go to the TV eventually, we won't hear anything from that. So we'll have to take them back off and look dumb. So that's the best part.
Can you hear her now?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But
my favorite part about your rusty nail story is that when we recorded Screwed, my first album,
Really?
I found a rusty screw in the bathroom, and I'm such an optimist. I was like, that's a good sign. Like, this is going to go really well.
You were the person that just came up with, rain on a wedding day is good luck.
Exactly.
You're the bridesmaid that just like, I have to save this because she'll just spiral out of control if I don't.
Exactly.
I remember I heard that for the first time at like 12 because I went to my dad's friend's wedding, and it started raining, and we're outside and doing all that, and everyone just kept telling the bride to be, she's like, "Oh, it's good luck, it's good luck, it's good luck," and I could just see her; she's holding back tears, and I walk up and go, "Don't let him lie to you." She's like, "That's what I needed, you asshole."
Well, you know what else it is? Isn't it ironic?
Oh, I was thinking Alanis too.
It's like that.
Oh, see, that's not even the line that I think of. Like, I always just think of that she's in her song, and like, is she gonna blow you like I do in the movie theater? You piece of shit. You know what you want. You want a dirty nympho bitch, and that's me. You're gonna go with Lisa Kudrow, you dumb ass.
I love that's the part that you know
of
comes
course,
to
because who
mind.
doesn't
Really
want head in a
hone
movie
in on.
theater?
Me?
What? Okay, why not?
I don't want to get my sucked in a movie theater. There's a bunch of people around.
So
I also like to enjoy my
have
movie.
some self-esteem, Blake. You deserve to get sucked off in a movie theater too. It's definitely gonna happen. No one goes to movie theaters now. That's the whole allure of it again.
Oh, getting your sucked?
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, it was go to the movie theaters because that's where your parents weren't. But now you go to the movie theaters because that's where the new thing is. Like, oh, we haven't been here in 3 years and no one's there, so let's have sex in a movie theater.
What happened to just watching a fucking movie?
Yeah, but they're bad.
That's
You can
true.
tell a testament to that. The best production company is one you don't like, A24.
Yeah. that
And
is
they're the
true.
only ones pumping out new shit right now.
Yeah.
Do you see any new movies coming out recently that you're excited about?
I saw that new Nicolas Cage movie, Long Legs.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that. Blake is addicted to Nicolas Cage.
I'm not.
Do you still have Commander Cage back there with you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. He was up
Yeah.
here, but he got moved into where he was going to be more loved than I could give him.
No, it was a pretty good movie.
So what was it about again?
It was like this weird, like serial killer kind of movie.
Yeah, was his son a serial killer?
No, he was a serial killer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay. I like
interesting.
that. That's definitely more his vein because I've
Yeah.
been saying that for years. His closest role that made me think that Nicolas Cage was not acting was Ghost Rider, where he was killing a lot of people. So Nicolas Cage really needs to hop on that. I need to go see that.
Yeah. I saw another movie too, but I can't remember what the Oh, Twisters. I saw Twisters the other night.
So what's going on with all these remakes? Are they worth it?
That one was actually pretty good.
Okay.
I liked it. Yeah.
I never saw the one with Helen Hunt, but
I never did either.
I
so.
didn't I got enough of it from watching Goldmember with Fat Bastard when he talks about. Do y'all remember that scene from Austin Powers?
I don't know.
Blake, can you pull this up on YouTube? This might be something we can't show, but we're gonna
We
watch
won't
it
be able
anyways.
to.
This is the only trilogy of movies I've ever purchased. Is Austin Powers, so I can have it around me at all times.
Just within arm's reach.
Just I watch it on my phone when I need something to feel secure, or if my power goes out, that's what I immediately grab. I go to Goldmember.
I remember Austin Powers. I haven't seen a lot of movies, admittedly. And part of the reason is because I had a very sheltered childhood. But I have seen Austin Powers because my older cousins at one point were babysitting me and we were all swimming. And then everybody went inside to watch Austin Powers. And my
Nice.
mom was going to be like, she can't do that. She's not allowed. So my older cousins were like, okay, the other option is she can stay out in the pool by herself. And my mom was like, okay, fine, she can watch Austin Powers.
I had something. That's how I got to watch South Park for the first time. It was either I think it was a whole party for the adults, but they all had children, so they're just like, when you get 8 kids that don't know each other, and like they'll like each other, and then you just lock them in a room, and you're like, they'll get along. It was 8, 9 to 16-year-old boys, and you're like, we're just all looking around like, what are we supposed to do?
That's quite the age range,
Yeah.
too. That's significant.
It was so f***ed up, and I was the youngest there. I was not the smallest because I was always a fat kid, but I was definitely the youngest. So I was in a corner at one point, and I just turned on the TV and was like, I have nothing else to do. And this is my last resort. And South Park was the first thing to come on, and just like a movie, all 7 boys just sat down and was like, oh, I could be a teacher.
Yeah, just show South Park.
They've got some inspirational moments, like you learn the real meaning of the word from the South Park. No. Is it a gay man? No. It's you blare your Harley going down the street. That's where a is. I spent too much time watching all that.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. It's a good thing we're in the first 15 minutes because you're going to have to bleep that either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting pretty good at bleeping.
You really are, buddy.
I'm catching it now.
So we're figuring out that YouTube has a weird thing where if it's either the first 15 or the first 20 minutes of each long form thing you put out isn't censored, like up front, they will not push it out. So it's just hilarious. You go from having no one watch the episodes to a couple more, but now everyone that comments is like, what's up with these censor bleeps? I'm like, you're not going to see it otherwise. I need to the censor bleeps, and I hate it too, but I just want to be able to say my bad words again.
The only reason I know that is from watching Game Grumps, because they have the exact same issue where they
Game
Grumps. It
Game
is
Grumps?
a
Is this
video
another
game
one?
channel that I enjoy watching.
Okay, so what video games do they get into? Because we've already talked about the Dungeons and Dragons click we need to get into. Because now that I'm getting older, I'm getting nerdier for some fucking reason, and this might be something I hop into now.
You should. I'm not kidding. Like, I am. If there were one MLM I'd be a proponent of, it's Dungeons and Dragons. And in some ways, I'm not kidding, because it's like you start at this table, and then because you learn the skills, you then take those skills and make your own table where you recruit 5 people to come play with you, and you teach them Dungeons and Dragons. Then they go start their own tables and recruit 5 people.
It's fucking Nutriboom or something. Like
Exactly.
Boom boom. What is it? Oh, it's from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Have you seen that? You don't watch TV shows.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's great.
It's I that was like the last group of SNL people that I really enjoyed was the Andy Samberg group.
Yeah.
So Blake, they make fun of like all these pyramid schemes where they make basically middle-aged moms get like a second job where they just get all of their friends to get the same job and just getting just a pyramid scheme all the way down.
Mary Kay.
Basically, Mary Kay or container sellers and shit like that.
Sensi.
Exactly. Yeah. But in this one, it's Nutriboom. It's a drink you take. It's got all the nutrients you need. But the spokesman is Jay Chandrasekhar from Super Troopers and all of that. From, what is that? Their thing? Broken Lizard?
Broken Lizard.
Great. Yeah. But it turns out that they kidnapped him and they're brainwashing Jay Chandrasekhar into being like, they didn't kidnap my dog. And the wife of Nutriboom's owner, CEO, she's not dead. Quit asking about her.
That's a direct thing of Scientology.
They looked at Tom Cruise and like, we need to get this.
Well, that's like the guy that leads Scientology. Like, nobody has seen his wife in 20 years.
The L. Ron Hubbard guy or the guy that's running it now?
No, the guy that's running it now.
Okay.
They literally have not seen her since Tom Cruise's wedding.
Well, she's over there with Carol Baskin's husband in Puerto Rico. That's what she's doing. Did you hear they actually found him? 2 years ago, they actually found the husband that got away and was perceived dead.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
It was just in Cuba or something. One of those countries out into the Gulf. He's just out there. There was a documentary I watched about where he went, and episode 4 of 8, you're like, yeah, he's probably here. And then 5, you're like, he is here. We have pictures of him. I mean, just no one talks about it.
No one cared. Yeah. Okay.
You're like, y'all watched Tiger King and you were so dead set and everyone talking about finding him. You're like, there's a document. You just have to watch it. They're like, he's there. They have pictures from 2 weeks ago. None of y'all, no one has enough time on their hands like I do. You don't get to watch all these weird documentaries. No one's seen the Marilyn Manson documentaries I've seen to where Marilyn Manson is apparently a secret agent from the FBI. Have you heard this?
Is that Charles Manson?
I did it again.
Did I say Marilyn Manson? You said
did
that.
say
I was
it.
extra curious. I was in a weird place for them
this
to
just
plant
got
him.
interesting.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. Charles Manson was picked up repeatedly for all of these arrests, and then eventually the FBI was like, we need to stop the hippie movement, the counterculture movement. So they picked up Charles Manson. They're like, hey, you're going to get a bunch of people into a cult and addicted on LSD. You're going to fake take the LSD, not take it, and then just convince all of these hippies over time to go assassinate someone for the sake of the world kind of thing. So they were going to go kill, who is it? Oh, the producer from the Beach Boys. Not Brian Wilson, but Brian Wilson's...
Dennis Wilson.
Dennis Wilson, thank you.
His brother.
You and those last names, you have a hard time.
I know. It's a real problem. I need to stop smoking weed.
Oh, that's the problem.
Shut up.
Yeah.
It's definitely not so many concussions that I can't even remember, which is its own problem. That's a catch-22. Mm-hmm. I can't remember how many concussions I have. That's a never-ending cycle. It's like, how do all amnesia patients have... They forget everything but that they have amnesia, and that's the only thing they fucking bring up. You're like, oh, I don't remember you, but I have amnesia. You're like, that's what you remember? Fuck. Known you for 16 years. I've never known anyone with amnesia. I'm not even sure it's a real thing.
Came from a deep place.
I spiral so much.
Are you sure you didn't smoke crack? I feel like you're
I recently bought's pretty good, so maybe.
It's that energy drink. That's what's got you
yeah,
going right now.
You're right. That, and I've been sitting here a little behind the curtain, especially for Ruth. I forgot that we moved up the episode when we were initially planning it. So in my head, you were still at 6 o'clock for today.
Oh.
And then it got to be like 1:30. I'm like, I f***ed something up. I just know I did. And I'm looking through the records. Blake's texted me a couple hours earlier. I'm going to get there at 2:30 or 2.
Yeah.
You're
Thank
supposed
God.
to get here at 2. And I call him at 1:30. I'm like, hey, you're on the way, right? Because I f***ed up. I'm so sorry.
So I'm not a bad producer, Ruth.
No.
He's just
You were.
The middleman in between the producing and the producer is just a problem.
Fuck you. I got all this set up in 30 minutes or less.
Why f*** me? I've been giving you nothing but flowers.
Well, I know, but I just had to. Fuck you for screwing up the times. There you go.
Yeah, f*** you for paying me. Even
Also, for those listening at home, the whole reason we moved the time is because I'm making a pot roast today.
Yeah, you're such a good person.
I
You're such a good
I
person.
needed the pot roast.
You know what I've had for the past 3 days? Chicken nuggets.
We had those for lunch. We had chicken nuggets for lunch, and then Noah DoorDashed us fries and coffee from McDonald's.
Aw, dude, that is love.
It's awesome.
We have chicken nuggets, but we don't need everything else. So let's just DoorDashing sides. That would make me feel so bad, but that's mostly because I'm alone. If you do that for your significant other, that's a
Exactly.
loving, touching thing. If I order sides and I'm here alone, the Dasher just needs to come sit with me. That's how that goes. You want to come inside, please?
No, I want to spit in your food.
I'll give you some potato salad. You don't even like potato salad.
The best part is he was like, "Oh, McDonald's has this new thing. It's like a basket of fries." And I was like, "Oh, I've had that." And he was like, "You've had that just yourself, not like you and friends?" It's like, correct. Just me.
Yeah, Noah, and 20-piece McNuggets aren't for the full family. Shut up. Head, quit making me think. I'm also not supposed to eat a pint of ice cream in bed before I go to bed, but it's what happens. Sometimes I'm good and I get halfway up through the pint and I put it back in the freezer. But then
Exactly.
sometimes you don't fall asleep because you stood up. You lose your momentum into going to bed, and then you got to stand back up, go get that ice cream to get the coma to go back to bed.
Exactly.
It's like I ordered a large pizza the other day, and whenever I went in to go pick it up, I was like, I hope that they don't think that I'm going to eat this whole thing, because I am going to eat this whole fucking thing.
It's do y'all know Chris Stefano?
Yeah,
He's a New York comic. He's very
Long Island guy.
Blake, will you do me a favor and type in Chris Stefano 9/11? That's a weird sounding, but it'll get there. He kind of went viral right at the start of COVID. I think he was honestly the first comic to really blow up because of COVID. Because right as it happened, he got hammered at the Comedy Cellar and did this story about his dad. Blake, what we'll probably have to do is just cut this from the episode, but it's such a good joke that I feel like we need to listen to it all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blake, pause it. I just remembered something I gotta bully myself about. So when I was an alcoholic, I'm remembering this from watching Chris stand-up set, but he had this saying that he said in podcasts sometimes that I just fell in love with, in that, give me a glass of wine and not an anaphylactic. Give me a glass of wine and like a Benadryl and I'll suck a So I was just getting hammered, and apparently after the blackout turned over, this is what I was telling everyone I ever met. Give me some wine and a Benadryl and I'll suck a No one realized I was just in my autistic mode where I just stuck onto a phrase and was just saying it over and over again. But I woke up the next morning and my friends were like, yeah, man, we're not going back to that place ever again because we're not comfortable. Like, no one, everyone thinks you're going to try and suck their with a bottle of Pinot Gris. And no one, because I'm also overly addicted to watching stand-up as it comes out, so no one is ahead of the game like I am. So no one understands that it's a reference that I'm just saying over and over again.
They're probably like, what's wrong with this gay guy?
This guy is so closeted, he has no idea.
I was like, yeah, this guy needs to accept himself so he can suck some sober.
Hey, Blake, I think I lost my audio in my headphones. Oh, man. How did we come across Chrissy D? That's my bad. This is what this podcast is a whole bunch of tangenting and my guests just figuring out that I'm...
I love it. It's how my brain works. I'm on
Oh,
board.
so this is-
this is
okay.
perfect. And this actually reminded me, this 9/11 story reminded me that
Isn't that always fun to
I
start
know.
a sentence like that?
it's a good transition. The school that I grew up at, like 1st through 12th grade,
Right.
Founders Day is 9/11.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun, real interesting. So it's a real bittersweet day. You're like,
we all get ice cream and like feel weird about it.
Why do you get ice cream? Because the towers. I mean, our school started.
Yeah.
Oh, I always felt bad for kids with legit 9/11 birthdays.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine their parents being like, and it's a girl. Oh my God, the second tower. Name her Spirit, just in hope.
What, so she could lose your luggage?
Fuck you. Okay, I'm still getting over that. I'm still broke, so I still have to fly Spirit. And I'm a fucking broke kid, so I never got on planes as a kid, so they still make me fucking uncomfortable and nervous. Not just like they're gonna crash or anything, but just the whole rigmarole of the whole thing. And I get there, and I make sure I'm especially nice to everyone so no one can throw my bag not on the plane or whatever. If de facto get to L.A., they're like, we didn't put it on the plane. I was like, oh, all right, so I guess I have to go to Ross? And in L.A., this is where I'm spending my money for gifts and trinkets? Is that the Ross so I can have underwear? And then, like, after I get back, I start yelling at the Spirit people. And I finally feel like I'm about to have her say, like, we're going to give you this much money or this many points or this many miles back. And she goes, well, here's what I can do. I can give you the $35 to put your bag on the plane back. And I go, you haven't fucking done that yet? Are you fucking kidding me? And now I'm pretty sure there's a red mark next to my name at Spirit Airlines.
Probably all airlines.
I'm definitely not on a no-fly list because I went to Michigan with Jamie and the family for the wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was really fun. I don't know if you got to see pictures. I also didn't I'm a bad friend, supposedly, and I didn't realize it was the wedding celebration as well. I thought we were just going to kind of, celebrate the engagement and the wedding coming up and also just celebrate 4th of July. And then I get there, I go, oh, I look at the postcard the day before we leave and like, oh, there's a wedding ceremony. Oh, no. Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no.
So you flew there and you didn't know that it was for a fucking wedding?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm around Jamie's family. Just figuring out, like, oh, this is a lot more formal than I expected. And I say formal. Jamie's dad is fucking, first thing, got to bring it up, he's yoked. Jamie's dad is just fucking... I thought he was, like, about to get on the mound to pitch. Like, he looks like he's game ready. It's crazy. And he's wearing the most, like, not definitely, but it looks like an Academy fishing shirt with the red, white, and blue because it's also 4th of July that they're doing the ceremony because Jamie Jakes. And he's wearing, like... All right, I'll just say it. He's wearing shorts that, at first I was like, shorts at a wedding. And then I was like... But he's rocking those shorts, and then I had to stop myself and be like, you can't say that about Jamie's dad.
You said so many gay things on this podcast.
I've said so many gay things in general, Blake. That's why all of DFW comedy calls me a fucking twink now. Except the gays, they know. They have good gaydar. They know I'm not one of them.
Yeah, Christopher with the K is the only one.
Yeah, they just all look at me and go, oh, honey. You're going to be a problem in a few years.
You don't actually have to suck a dick.
Oh, just you wait, baby. This is early 20s. You think you're straight.
Don't look at me. Whatever you said.
What? You're literally in my closet, bitch.
At least the door's open.
There's no fucking door.
Oh, a true description of Paxton's sexuality.
And his house.
I'm just running closer and closer into the closet, but everyone ripped the door off the hinges a long time ago. Fucking hell. That's such a good metaphor, accidentally. Damn it. Oh, that shouldn't have had legs before it started, but it did. Fuck.
Hit about 3 great combos on that one.
It's just going to, like... I think I've said this before on the podcast, but it still sounds weird every time. It would just be convenient if I was gay at this point.
I think when you eventually marry a man, it's going to be a great supercut of like podcast clips you can play at the wedding.
We would be a powerhouse. It would be who would it be? Who would I marry? Let's play this game.
Okay.
What comedian? Because you don't date comics, but if I'm going gay, I'm going gay comic, and it's a powerhouse couple.
Okay.
Am I turning someone with me? Because I feel like if I'm turning, I have the power to turn someone as well. This is my game. I'm the dungeon master now.
Okay. I don't know in which context you mean that. It could be nerdy or dirty.
No, it's not fucking Noah's first club. The
sex
original
dungeon.
sex dungeon.
Yeah, the OG. Yeah. No.
We all had such a love for that sex dungeon. It's at 24 people, but everyone was so close. And then every single person said sex dungeon, and the regulars were like, this might actually be a sex dungeon. At a certain point, you just say it too many times.
You say it too many times, and it's like,
And
you
then
know,
it's
like
an
you're
orgy.
saying Beetlejuice 3 times, and then suddenly the chains descend from the ceiling.
I was gonna say, did you ever hear the story about the show that Sean K. the Showman put on that turned out to be, and this is not his fault, but it got double booked with a swingers party?
No.
There was one of those like rent our space studios, and normally it's for like photography, but Sean had built what turned out to be a really good show, but mostly because all the patrons that came in were also there for the swingers party. But the show starts at, I think, like 9. We'll say 9 for the story. 9:30. It's kind of a light crowd, but that's also just normal at this point. But Sean starts it on time rather than most of us just waiting 15 minutes for more people to come in. 9:30 comes around, and then we see the first couple come. And it's the comedy fans are definitely already there. The people there for comedy are already there because we see then a businessman in a suit and just a Harry Hines hooker. Like, just walk in, you're like, oh, this is a turn of events. This is a crowd. Like, enough to where one couple is like, a thing's about to happen. A big thing's about to happen. And then, so from the stage, I'm standing on the stage looking at the crowd. There's couches everywhere. And kind of that vibe set up, not tables and chairs and set up. And then there's rooms with doors. There's 3 rooms with doors, and the doors are all closed. So we didn't really get to see inside, except for one of them was our green room. And then these couples keep walking in, and some of them just are not fucking with the comedy and don't even give us a chance and start walking in the rooms. And I start looking as they open the rooms for a slight second. One of them, very normal room. I have no idea what was going on in there, but I think it was foreplay. Because the second room, the second door that got opened...
This just in, Paxton doesn't know what foreplay looks like. Continue.
It's a room. Yeah, it's a room. At least that's what I tell all the girls that come here. Like, isn't the living room in this foreplay?
But the next room.
Oh, yeah, the next room, all red velvet, fucking swings hanging from the ceiling. Like, 3 different swings. Like, I didn't know...
Got a variety.
Like, there was it's what made me laugh the most. There was a regular swing, like a child swing, just in the room, and then there's the leather brace strap sex swing, and then one that I had no idea how it worked, but I know it's a swing. There's a deep urge in my belly. And it's like, there's a forgotten memory there. I know that's a swing, but
Is
don't
it
know
in
why.
your doorless closet? You just know because the swing is in your doorless
it's probably in
closet
my
somewhere.
butt, actually.
Okay.
If we know statistically speaking, repressed memories and all, it was in there. There was nothing near my biters because I would remember that because I would have won. I was never diddled, okay? Gotta bring that up.
You know, as you're describing that story, it sounds like you're describing like
I know, it's because I'm a lunatic, okay?
you're like describing. You're like doing the DVD commentary of Eyes Wide Shut. You're
I
just
know.
like,
And here's the problem. I can never write a script where that happened because people think it'd be real. I'm just creative, okay? Oh, don't you just love it when I dig a hole? I'm just going to lay down for a second. You go.
Oh, I go. Okay. I'm trying to decide if I want to bring this out of the podcast or not because I have a relevant story that's like close to what you're talking about. I've actually been to a sex club.
Okay,
Like,
okay,
like
okay,
active,
okay, okay.
Like while it's operating as a sex club.
I'm very interested in the story, and I want to hear it, but that had a definitely different path that could have gone down.
Which path did you think was
Diddling.
you were the only
part
one.
of the
I
conversation?
was like, because you also prefaced it.
Wait.
Preface waiting to happen.
Yeah.
If we did title names, that have to be the name of the show. We'll fill you in later. Oh, but you also gave it the, that's kind of in the same vein of what I'm trying to see if I want to bring it up. That's where I got diddling from.
That's where you
Ruth.
got diddling from. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But no, I've been to a sex club. It was an interesting. You see
Where?
a lot.
Where is this
It was
sex
in San
club?
Antonio.
Oh, too far.
Yeah. Too
Okay.
far. Yeah.
All right, so now we're hitting this with a different kind of tone for the story.
Yeah.
It's not a post-podcast celebration. We're going to the strip club. But
Right,
but how was
exactly.
the San Antonio Sex Club?
It was honestly, it was an interesting experience. I more approach it from was approaching it from like a people watching expedition. Like I wasn't just there on my own. Like it was like a group of people that I know frequented this sex club, and I was
Right.
invited, and I was like, when in Rome, you know.
Kind of more like a more interactive strip club.
I haven't been to a strip club, so I don't know. I like skipped that step and went
Okay.
straight to
Okay,
like BDSM sex
that's
club.
a very aggressive jump.
yeah, it is. So yeah, for me, it was honestly more about just like people watching, and it was very interesting. Like there were people getting tied up. There were like people getting like shocked. There was a whole arrangement of things happening.
I want to ruin the sex club for everyone that's enjoying the sex club, which is a problem I need to know, like, and I need to work on with myself.
Yeah.
But I'd love to go in there and just especially go to the men that love being dominated by women, stand right there and go, ha ha, and just start pointing and laughing. Because that's a mutualistic parasitism fucking thing right there, because he loves getting degraded. And I'm there to help. You know about that. Get back in the closet, bitch. Yeah. See, we're telling you about the real relationship between Blake and I on this episode.
We're learning a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't pay me enough.
Yeah, but there's a Shyamalamian twist because I got all the bark right now, but as soon as the camera cuts off, he's the man. I'm the bitch. It's exactly what you thought. What? He's bigger than me. That's exactly how that works. You get manhandled. Listen to that laugh. You're a jolly man. Dude, you're going to be Santa. You're going to make a little extra cash on the side during Christmas season in like 20 years.
It'd be nice.
I thought we were talking about a real business plan that was like happening this year. I was excited.
Well,
Yeah, I
could.
followed the LLC and everything.
If Xavier Poole can be Santa, Blake can be Santa. Shout out to Xavier Poole. Go to DCC. He's very funny.
Hell yeah.
So we were talking about game. It was the gaming channel you watch. Game
Grumps.
Game
Yeah,
Grumps.
I watched some Game Grumps.
Okay, so like, what is that? Is it like? See, because I'm a dumb douchebag in the video games that I play. I'm not as dorky as I used to be. So it's either Pokemon on my phone, or it's really just the sports games now on the consoles. What's their like niche? Because I know a lot of these places just have like a niche field they fall into.
Well, they're actually pretty. I don't want to say unique, but like they do a wide variety of stuff. They do some that are just like long. They've done a Pokemon playthrough. They've done a Skyrim playthrough where it's just like long, deep playthroughs where they descend into delirium as the nights go on and they lose their minds slowly. But
With the
then they
midnight
also,
giggles, that's what we called that.
Exactly. But then they also do like short series of like dumb mini golf games and like
Oh.
it's a huge variety of what
Goat
they
Simulator.
do. Like, yeah, no, but they have a great Goat Simulator series, all the classics.
That was a fucking
Of
accidental
course.
pull.
No, 100%. So they're just so funny that you kind of just put it on. Sometimes I really, really love the Nancy Drew PC games. I just did a presentation yesterday about the top 8 most unhinged moments from the Nancy Drew PC games. I have a PowerPoint. We could pull it up.
I didn't even know
Actually,
that
kind of sounds fun.
They're so good. I love them so much. Racially questionable at some times, but so good. I love them so much. Why did I bring this up? Oh yeah, well, there's two things that come to mind. One is there's a game called Shadow at Water's Edge that takes place in like a ryokan, and I don't want to say all of them, but the one I was looking into, there's a voice actor who's like heavy accent, lots of R's in place of L's, and it's a white man doing the accent, so it's like
It's
not.
basically just a clip from City Walk. From
Yeah,
South
like
Park.
it's not okay what's happening.
Hello,
frankly.
welcome to City Walk. We like chai chicken.
But it gets worse than that because there's
sorry.
a game that has been discontinued from the Nancy Drew PC game franchise called Sea of Darkness.
Oh no,
And the reason
they go to Cleveland.
yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's not Sea of Darkness. It's a different game. You'll see where I got that in a second. It was called Ransom of the Seven Ships. I don't want to spread misinformation about the Nancy Drew PC game series. But the reason it's discontinued is because the plot of the game is that you go to this island, the people you're supposed to meet there are not there, your friend gets kidnapped, you're alone in this island, and then you meet this one other person, and you're on the island with this one other person, and you're trying to find your kidnapped friend. And in most of the games, it's like there's lots of options for who the bad guy could be, but this whole game there's like one guy, so it's like, okay. And it like doesn't super help that it's like a black guy with dreads, and you're like, okay. And he's got a bad Jamaican accent that you like, so it's tough. You meet him when he like traps you in like a booby trap where your like feet get tied up and you get like, and The whole time it's you and him on this island. And then at the end, the big reveal of the game, the twist.
Bombaclot.
The twist is that he's not who he says he is. He's actually a villain from New York from a previous game. So the twist is blackface. The dude's been on the island in blackface with Nancy the whole time and then reveals himself in the final scene as like Daryl from New York.
The reverse Rachel Dolezal.
No, it is a Rachel Dolezal. It is. It's not even reverse.
You're right. I mixed that up.
I'm just thinking of Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
And so you can't buy that game anymore. Like, they realized they fucked up and, like, took it away.
Imagine being the guy that still hasn't put 2 and 2 together about blackface, but he just really wants the game. You're like, I'm going to go on eBay, see what happened to that game. You're like,
Fine, yeah.
$500? Let's look up the lore about why this is $500. Oh, no.
Oh, it's
my favorite
racist.
childhood game. The game I set my life around.
Well, and there are so many moments, and the thing that, like, I loved about those games is the writing is truly so unhinged, and, like, but it's, like, self-aware, a level of unhinged, like, things that you know aren't accidents. Like, there's one time when, in Phantom of Venice, when Nancy is in Italy and needs to do some spy shit, like, she needs to go spy somewhere during the night. So she's like, well, obviously, I need a full black suit to go spy.
Of course.
And the only place I could possibly get this suit is at this, it's not described this way, but it's a fetish club. Like, they give her a full black cat suit with no mouth or nose hole, and she earns it by dancing in the club. And then they're like, if you're good, we'll let you keep it. And she's like, great. And then she...
If you're good, you get to keep the GIMP costume.
Yeah,
Good job.
and you can come back and dance for tips anytime. That's literally what they say. And then she propels herself on a zip line across Venice in the cat suit that she desperately needed to do the zip line, I guess.
The next fucking paragraph is what they took away is her inner monologue, which she's ziplining away like, that was weird, right? Like, that's not just me. I can come back anytime. What the fuck did he mean by that? Work for tips? Is he going to pay me? What's going on?
It sounds like I'm making fun of these games, but I truly love them so much, like, in my heart of hearts. And they're so funny. Like, there's this, like, nutty professor you meet, and not a nutty author that you meet in the Royal Tower that's, like, a resort, and you're all snowed in, and you have to, like, bring her things so she'll try and help you with what you need. And at first she orders couscous, so you run around this fucking snowed-in ancient tower looking for couscous, and determine you don't have it. So you have to go back and bring her a menu and be like, please order something off the menu. And she goes, fine, if you don't have couscous, I guess I'll have 50 drumsticks.
So this game started off as Princess Peach getting taken by Bowser, and now it's Papa Rio's fucking where you just make burgers all day long. It's just a fucking game of computer games all mashed together.
Well, and there's like 34 of these games. So genuinely, like, there is one where you're like snowed in at an inn, a different one, and you like have to like do the laundry and like make the food and stuff
Side quest.
as part of the investigation.
And then it turns into The Shining.
I love when the thing I'm taking as escape from real world just turns into chores. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I never got into Sims. I don't understand anyone that plays Sims. And you're like, why do you want to do your job like in a different realm?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be successful. Just be successful. Start fucking.
Why do you want to masturbate with your fucking character? Like,
Yeah. I had a friend who's like, I just want to see what it was like to be black. Dude,
well, I can understand that, but
can you?
You know, I've never gotten Sims either, but the one time I like played it with a friend at a friend's house,
Right.
she like kept making the Sims go under the covers and have their moment. And the best part is the next day she messaged me to apologize. She was like, I don't want to be a bad influence, and I know that was inappropriate what I was doing to
A
the Sims
bad influence,
yesterday.
like you've been downloading Sims once you got home.
Oh.
I thought they were sleeping under the covers. What are you
I did that on
talking
Pokemon
about?
a lot. You're like, I need all of these Pokemon to have eggs. I just didn't understand what I was doing.
Why aren't the two male ones breeding, goddammit?
Come on. They can do it. Science says it's okay now.
Shit a
They're
Pikachu
turning-
out your ass.
They're turning the freaking Squirtles gay. You like my Alex Jones impersonation?
I want a bell. I want a bell so bad to slap after that. That was...
Let me get you a
Oh.
bottle of Tito's in a brown bag. And
See,
then you
Ruth, that's
nail
how
it.
you and I met, is because of just slight little jokes like that. Do you remember where we met?
No.
Bearded Monk. It was one of the
Oh,
few
God.
times that
Yeah,
you were still
yeah.
doing Denton. And we
Oh,
were
yeah.
just, it was me, you, Javo, and Jacob sitting at the table. And I can't even remember the unhinged conversation we were having. But it was something about dildos, and it was a huge one. And it was definitely started by Javo or Jacob. Like, I know that for
sure.
certain.
Yeah.
And it had gotten around to the dildo looked like a pepper mill. And you and I both at the same time said, say when. It had such a vibe of like a high noon draw. We just both pulled it out. Draw.
I both don't remember that and completely believe it.
I remember that happened like months later. I was like, and just the normal plight of a comment, like, how do I write this into a bit?
You know, my favorite thing like that from my life that's happened recently, like how do I make this into a bit moment, was it was just like a weekday, and I normally don't see Noah on weekdays, but I asked if I could come over just because I missed him.
Right.
And I got there, and he had made some like
Pussy,
I know.
you're in love.
But he had made some cheese dip, and for like me to come over, so we were like dipping some stuff. We were like eating some chips and cheese, and then he was like, "So why'd you want to come over?" And I was like, "Oh, I just missed you." And he was like, "Oh, I thought you were like mad at me, and this was gonna be like a serious conversation." And I was like, "So you made cheese dip for a serious?"
I know exactly what that thought process is. And like, well, if I'm gonna be sad, I want cheese dip.
That's exactly what he said. Yeah.
Well, who doesn't want queso if you're sad?
Exactly.
I've yet to meet Noah, but every story I've heard of him, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking like this guy.
You've met a Noah, like for
Oh, I'm sure I
Like
have, yeah.
you definitely have an uncle who's Noah.
Yeah, probably.
He's got the stereotypical, which I love. It's a loving thing about him, but he's got the Budweiser CVS cowboy hat. Like,
And I used to have one of those.
I know you did. You fucking.
It's beautiful. My favorite, the other day we were at a gas station, and he needed some new sunglasses because he had misplaced the ones he was using, and there were some practical sunglasses, and then I pointed out to him some bit sunglasses that were like huge and weird shapes and looked like your aunt might wear.
Right.
And he 100% bought the bit sunglasses. He
And
couldn't
they're
resist.
everyday glasses.
He even later commented about how they were like uncomfortable, but totally worth it.
He's always going for the bit, and that's what I love about him.
Yeah, you gotta respect it.
This is another, like, just a subtle thing about Noah that I just love. One, I think it was a Saturday morning maybe, where I get on Facebook way before most comics are awake, and the only thing I see, it's fresh, it's probably 3 minutes old, and it's Noah Shark Robinson. Anyone want to go to a water park? My first immediate reaction was like, I do want to go to a water park, but I can't.
You know, that whole day was so funny because like I do think it was good because it was hell for the first half of the day.
Well,
Like
yeah, you're both so pale.
you know, we actually didn't get sunburned because we sunscreened up. We both handled it like champs. Like our skin held up.
It's not your first rodeo.
Yeah, exactly. But it was such an ordeal, like, because I didn't have a swimsuit, so we had to go to 2 different places to find a swimsuit that would fit me. Because,
Right.
you know, of course, like that. And shopping for a swimsuit as a woman is a nightmare already. But
And it's
especially on a
always
time
before
limit.
the summer when they put out the swimsuits, but when you need one, they're just like in the back for some fucking
We
reason.
went to Walmart first, and there was just like one, like this size of wall, and it was just like 3 options. And I was like, none of these are gonna work. Not from like a vanity perspective, just from like a, I need to not get arrested on the walk from my car to the entrance gate. And so we had to go to
I've
a
had
different
those.
place.
You're like, you really gonna make me wear a mankini right now?
Yeah, exactly. And so we had to go to a different place, and we had to stop and get this thing, and then we got there, and there was like no parking. Like we had paid like the $40 for the parking, and
then there was just none.
And there was just none. So we drove around for probably 20 minutes just in the parking lot trying to like. And by now, you know, it's already like 2-3 p.m. and we're like, oh, we don't have the forever to be here, so
Right.
we're trying to find parking, and then we're getting in. The lines are long to get in. Of course, it's so busy and crowded because it's Saturday. You know, going to change the bathroom, crazy long lines, and then we got to find a locker. And the locker,
That's such a bitch of a situation.
because you don't have a choice. Like they have you by the balls. Like you have no options.
And it's such a small, like, lingering bit of anxiety where, like, it's around my wrist and it's not going anywhere, but the whole day I'm like, it can't leave or else I lose my whole life.
See, ours was almost worse because it was a code, so
Oh,
you had
no.
to like keep it in your brain. There's not even a thing to hold on to. It's just
I don't
your
remember what I had
brain.
for breakfast. You want me to remember 4 random numbers?
8675309.
So you got to remember the number that your locker is because they all look the same. And
Oh,
then you got to remember
shit.
the code to get into that locker. So it's 2 different numbers.
You got to
hold
remember
on
a phone number. No one's had to remember a phone number in years.
Exactly. But we couldn't find a locker. They were all full, and the ones that weren't full weren't working. So
What a shit show.
it was another probably 30 minutes of just trying to find a locker that worked, walking from locker. But the thing that I really loved was that, like, some couples would have turned on each other, and we were just laughing about how fucking ridiculous is this. This is and then it was a great time. Like once it was in, once we got the locker, we had a blast.
When y'all two announced officially that y'all were dating, that was my first initial reaction. Is no one plays off the shit that just happens better than those two. That's so perfect.
Oh, see, I love that because a lot of people were confused.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. I'm like, what are you talking about? That makes sense.
Yeah, no, a lot of people didn't get it, but no, I think
You're both silly, but also realistic, and not realistic in like a pessimistic way. Because I'm realistic without being pessimistic. I just sound sad. I'm still correct.
Realism sounds that way sometimes.
Everyone thought I was a pessimist when I said someone's gonna shoot Trump. No.
55 minutes in, we finally made it to Trump.
Yeah, it's just because I know. Well, actually, these are going to come out pretty on time, so we can be a little topical. Look at us go.
Yeah.
Hey-yo. Yeah, I was thinking about that. It also takes away one of my favorite things to say. You know how even as a comic, you've got your dad line you stick to? You're like, this is my copy and paste in case I ever need something to say. You're like, I always love bringing up, you're like, it's been a long time since an attempted assassination, like even a shoe being thrown. Not anymore. It's the beginning of Homer Simpson fucking scraping 0 days since an accident.
I don't want to make any comment because I don't want to lose my chance of Jack Black working with me someday,
Dude, here's what sucks about that. I have always loved Jack Black. I still love Jack Black. But as someone who loves Jack Black endlessly, that was kind of a pansy move.
It's like, yes, I agree with it. It's also just such a tough position because I'm sure it was like corporate pressure from that Bowser gig he's got and like some sort of like big
it's music
lawyer.
records, not comedy, so I completely
Okay.
understand too.
Yeah.
Because music records are like everything needs to be squeaky clean, and they're already Tenacious D, so nothing's getting played on the radio. So
Right.
like you can't take away even more revenue for us.
Yeah.
But still, like the next day, KG came out. I was like, "I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. It was my birthday. I was blowing out cakes and candles."
Yeah.
He basically even said, "You're like, I impromptu a line didn't work." Happens.
Yeah.
It's something that all comics have said while doing their set, not after the mic, which is a problem. You're like, "Oh, that one was bad during this show that I'm running right now." Thanks. But I was like, "Oh man, Jack Black.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
buddy." He's been his best friend since
I know, that's so tough.
like mid-90s.
He was scared of getting Dixie chicked.
For real,
Yeah.
yeah. That was something that like barely even got talked about, at least in my realm. I don't notice, but like they just went to the Chicks one day. Just one day on my Apple Music, I know that they're not the Dixie Chicks anymore.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment that I remember Dixie has a connotation that I forget
yeah,
about.
Like
Dixie cups, like that has to be bad.
probably, yeah, now that I think about it.
Blake, can we look up where Dixie cups come from? This is
Please.
probably going to be something bad, but
the chicks actually went, or 2 out of the 3 chicks actually went to the high school I went to.
oh really?
They spoke at my graduation.
Were you from around here?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Green Hill.
Where's that?
Addison.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I was up here, not to sound shitty, but it was probably not started until after you were out of the high school realm.
Yeah.
Because Byron got started in like 2010 or 12.
Yeah.
'Cause
I was like 2013, so it was probably like new in that.
Oh,
I graduated 2013.
okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
you're not that far ahead of me. But down around here, it was so weird around here. Our school had very little diversity because it was in it had less diversity than you think, but it was diverse at the same time. Like, we didn't have a whole lot of black families in the area, but there were a whole lot of Indian families in the area. So you're like, we had completely different kinds of, what's the word? Openings to culture. That's what I'm trying to say. So, like, I knew a lot more about Indian people than I did before black people at a certain point because I had Indian friends growing up. And then, so is Green Hill kind of like a countryer area? Because if the chicks are from there, it's always funny to me when they come from a suburb town.
It's like
not.
right in Addison, like
Yeah.
off of Beltline. Like it's in
Exactly.
Addison. And it's interesting. It's kind of similar to you. Like there were a lot of like Jewish kids in my school, so it was like
Really?
bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs every weekend, 7th and 8th grade. Like I partied harder as a 7th grader than I did in college. Like
That
there
kicks
were,
ass.
yeah, there was and they were really nice parties because it was like a rich school, it was like a private school, so like they were really nice parties. And but like there were some kids that would just go to the party part, but my parents felt very strongly about, like, if you're gonna go to the party, you got to go to the actual, like, religious part also. So I went to all the religious, like.
Oh,
I
so
don't
you
remember
were
what they're called.
excuse me, you were raised proper Jewish?
No, I was raised Christian actually, but they
Oh,
were
okay.
like, you don't get to go party with their stuff if you're not going to see them get, like, do their hard work part. Like, you got to go to the.
Did you appreciate that ever, or do
I
you
did.
appreciate that now at least?
Yeah, and I did like it then because it was kind of like. Well, for one thing, you got to get 2 different outfits then, because you would get the church outfit. and
Heyo.
then- That's not the whole reason I appreciate
Get
it.
the class
It
out.
was also just, like, interesting to, like, see the other stuff going on.
See, I'm kind of in the
yeah.
same boat. I was never religious, but I was the kid that always went with friends to church because that was what you did on Wednesday night. Is 5 of my friends were going to church, so I was just the 6th.
Yeah.
And I always found theology itself really cool. Like I found, maybe not Christianity itself interesting, but Christianity. Once I started learning about, I got really into Greek mythology, and part of me liked just like, oh, it's weird how that's similar, and it doesn't seem to be similar between Christianity and religion. Like you go and hear all these stories about religions, and then you hear kind of how parables line up. You're like, this is a big teaching one here, and this is a big teaching. You're like, have you ever heard all the things that, like, there's probably just one real thing that happened, and every other religion is just everyone's branch off of it?
Everyone's take on it.
Yeah, so like
I've
it's
heard that
how
theory.
Catholicism versus Christianity versus Lutheranism, they're all one thing, but they all just branched off. I'm more likely to believe that that's the initial thing. Like, there was definitely one thing that happened if there was something that happened, and everything is all just a branch on one. So I like learning about all of them to find the truer path, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I'm more spiritual, so that kind of, like, gives me comfort knowing that, like, all the... Because there's no religion that's like, be mean to people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all of them are like, be nice to people. So like, all right, so that was one thing that lines up with all of them. That's one of the
way to go.
guys'
Yeah.
things, whether it was Jesus or Allah or whoever it was in the teaching or whatever. But that was another thing, is my parents are both atheists. So mine was always just like, because it was never forced down my throat, I never latched onto anything, but I did have the desire to learn about it. Because it also is fun now learning about, like, have you ever heard of Gary Goldman?
Yes.
If you don't know Gary Goldman, for people listening at home, he's a completely different kind of comic than everyone else I listen to,
Mhm.
but I love him so much because it's so different. I'm reading his book right now, so that's half of what my brain is thinking about. For someone who hates reading, I want to go back to that book so bad. But it's funny because I'm learning about how this Jewish kid who was raised in Boston in the 80s in such a Catholic area, how all of that kind of interlooped into him becoming the anxious mess that he is now, which is part of what he talks about in his book. And no one stops to think about, like, until you go to therapy, what starts one thing.
Mhm.
Like, I hate loud noises, and that's because I remember getting yelled at by my parents when I'd slam cupboards and shit. So now when people slam doors and cupboards around me, I'm like, shut the fuck up. And at one point, I probably didn't care about it. Now I do, because don't be loud. That's disrespectful. I get where they're coming from now. But also at the same time, I don't want to yell at my friends who slam my car door, because they probably had a dad. You're like, why don't you ever shut the fucking car door? It's just the inverse of what happened to me. You're like, oh, everyone's just trying their fucking best.
Right. The number one thing that I, like, will talk about in my, like, close friendships and relationships with people will be like, this is just, like, our trauma pinging off of each other right now. Like, this is 100% just, like, you're spiraling this direction and I'm spiraling this direction, and they're like, it's because of our separate trauma, and neither of us are actually in the wrong or bad, or, like, you
Exactly.
know.
And-
there are also people who are wrong and bad, but
Right.
like in my close relationships, I'm like, this is 100% just 2 different trauma spirals, like, falling out of sync.
And it's funny to me because growing up, I was pretty much a good kid, which is always weird as a comic saying that they were a good kid. But I was a good kid because it was weird. I knew consequences early, like way too early for a kid. You're like, I was all about, like, I know not to touch the hot stove because I burned my hand, and that was my whole philosophy going out. I never got in trouble as a kid. But then you're friends with all these ragamuffins who just do all the bad things, and you're like, yo, your parents won't yell at you if you don't do that.
Right.
It's Bill Burr had a bit about it, how he always thought it was funny when you just roll with groups that are all your same types of people. Like, you don't have one white friend in the group. Like, a bunch of rappers were getting popped for having unregistered weapons in their car when he came out with his special in 2012. He's like, you got to have a white friend in your group of black friends. what are you doing? You have an unregistered gun in the car. That's how they got Biggie. That's how they got two. What are you doing? Just like how every group of white friends needs to have the black friend. You're like, motherfucker, that's why you're ishy. You're ashy. You need some lotion. Like, white people didn't know shit about lotion until a black person came around to tell us we're ashy. Like, if you don't mix with all these fucking people, you have no idea. And it's just one localized. I think that's why I hate localized religion. That one thing of like, this is the right thing and anyone that doesn't believe it is wrong. You're like, bitch, I got a criminal justice degree and that taught me everything but that.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much more gray in between everything and you're just wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say they're wrong, but
I've always, I don't know. The older I've gotten, the like less and less confident I've felt being like, I know what's up. Like, I know what's going on. So like, one of the things I've just observed to be undeniably true in my life is that religion is a great way to manipulate people. So I almost have this feeling that like religion needs to be something between you and whatever's out there, which like to me I would probably say God, but like anytime there's too much of man involved, it's going to get fucked up because of just man is inevitably imperfect, and they're gonna at some point someone's gonna use something for their own gain and fuck everything up and translate something. And
the all true, all knowing, and all loving God isn't manipulative.
Right.
If he was actually all true, all knowing, and all loving, he wouldn't probably need tithings.
Right,
that's one thing.
right.
Like, you wouldn't need a $3.5 million church in Southlake, Texas. Fuck that place. But that was another thing too. Is like you said, the older you get, the more or the less you think you know about it. Mm-hmm. That's what I've always said. People, now they're not, but I did have friends growing up that were adamant about having only Christian friends, which was kind of a weird thing. But at the same time, I was always kind of like, man, they're annoying anyways, and just kind of bring up God when we're doing bad things. I want to jump my bike over this hill, not be thinking about Christ. But oh no, where was I going with that? Oh, and you meet people that like, well, what do you believe in? And at a certain point, I go, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, if I ever say one thing to be true over the other, don't believe in that thing. I'm so often wrong.
Right.
Like, if I ever go, Christianity is the right way and God is real, you're like, okay, maybe Buddha's the way to go.
You're like shorting the stock of whatever religion you buy into.
Blake, you just gestured. I feel like you have something you want to say.
Yeah, definitely. If you told me Christianity is the way to go, I'm gonna convert to Scientology or
Buddhism. You know me too well because we've talked about this too. I text Blake the most, which sucks because I pay him, but he's also my closest friend. But you've learned so much just through these texts. You're like, oh man, oh no. If I started a cult, dude,
I would not want to be in that cult.
No, but you know what would be fun? Is if I did I pulled the Charles Manson, I walked out of the cult, washed my hands of it every single night. You're like, those fucking idiots.
Don't get me wrong. I would love to do the documentary of it. But
yeah, you just want to be
Dennis
Dennis Wilson.
Part of it.
You want to be the Dennis Wilson who's just getting the hoes that are on LSD. You want to get laid, and then as soon as that's not a problem, you don't want to sign me to a record deal. You just fucking throw me to the curb. You bitch!
Yeah, I'm sleeping with crazy chicks that are way out of my league. Like,
I don't have we talked about my grandma on this podcast?
Which one? The one that's still alive, or the one
that's still alive? That's
the Willie Nelson.
Yeah. So, my Mimi was a hippie, like a full. That's why I think the counterculture movement is so interesting because I'm not sure that my Mimi wasn't in a lot of those movements. Like, I'm just waiting for the day that I'm watching a Charles Manson documentary. I'm like, oh, Pam Lee Wilson, you bitch, you forgot about that, huh? All that acid fried your brain. You don't remember fucking shacking up with Squeaky Jones over there?
Remember sacrificing that cat?
We're a cat family, Pamela.
That's why she never let me have Kool-Aid.
That is for the rat poison and the rat poison alone. Actually, now that you say that, I do remember I was only allowed to have powdered country crock lemonade.
It was oddly specific.
Okay, so this is another thing I was thinking about that was just like, it seems very doomsday preppy now that I'm looking back. Do y'all remember Ovaltine?
Yeah.
Okay, Blake, do you remember? Look it up, please. It was the original like Slim Fast breakfast shake, I think. But that was my breakfast for my entire childhood, and I never once thought or
Milk
even
flavoring product.
exactly. That's the weird. It's like Yoo-hoo. You see chocolate drink for the first time, not chocolate milk. You're like,
Wait a second.
I don't like that as much. My whole childhood, my breakfast every morning was that. Not the one with the lid. It had the brown click on to the second and third ones. Like, there we go. I had that. I remember ripping that top off every day, and because I was a fat little chubbawumba, just a fucking pig person, I remembered vividly not mixing it up on purpose.
So you can get the little chocolate
Clumps,
like,
and I would
clumps?
eat that with the spoon before drinking the milk.
I know exactly what you mean, and I
Dude, it
support
has
that.
40 calories in it. How the fuck were you fat?
Because I would have like 14 servings in one glass of milk.
He was
and I would-
snorting it like cocaine.
Yeah, dude. My poor mom. Thinking back now, I feel like I was the only kid in my neighborhood that had a set limit of milk I was allowed to drink. She would come home dumbfounded, like, how is the milk gone? And I'm like, I just drank it. I was just that kid just walking around with a gallon of milk as a 6-year-old. Fucking.
Just imagine Wendy rationing fucking 2%.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, she might not have been as crazy as I thought. I might have been crazier.
If you were back in the times when there was a milkman, like they would they would think your mom was having an affair, but it's really just your fault.
Come here often? How's it going, Jim? It just ends up being that stereotypical trope of like I don't have a single mom, but just a single mom, and I'm the guy that's greeting the boyfriend coming over. Did you bring me a toy? I'll be distracted for about 30 minutes if you brought me a toy.
If you brought me a gallon of milk, I could occupy myself.
I would have been so good at manipulating my mom's boyfriends if that was a thing, or my dad's girlfriends if that was also a thing.
Either way,
Yeah, if a divorce ever happened and they had spouses, I'd get so many more presents.
there's always time.
Yeah, because I'm a catty bitch. I could be a cunt to these significant others.
You think that, but like coming from a
Oh,
childhood
right.
divorce, yeah, like it's not like that.
This is true. You also had them when you were young. If I got to have them right now at 23 years old, I don't mind pissing off a 44-year-old woman.
I was 14, 15. So probably the
And
worst.
full of teen angst, so
yeah,
you were
yeah,
an
so
asshole,
like,
weren't
yeah,
you?
so probably the worst time.
Fuck you, Mom! Get out of my room!
My mom was a fucking party hound, so it was.
Oh,
Like,
you had a party mom?
Oh,
Did we talk about that with Kyle? Friend
Party
of
mom?
all,
I was
yeah.
thinking that.
no, I don't think we did.
If we ever get you around Kyle when he's doing stand up, one of my favorite jokes he has is how he had a party mom growing up, and he's like, I loved it. My mom was great, but party moms aren't always fun. Sometimes you have to keep party moms from bringing their wine in the car. Or whatever he says.
You know, when you're playing beer pong in the garage with 2 of your friends and 2 of your mom's friends, that's when you know
they're
it
winning?
gets fucking weird. I remember there was one guy. He was a boyfriend to one of her friends, and this dude was straight out of prison, had fucking teardrop tattoo, and you know beer pong, like elbows.
So
you
your
gotta
mom
watch-
fucked Blake.
Anyway.
What?
You
I'm
know,
sorry.
you
Your
know-
mom fucked dudes right out of prison with
No,
fucking
this was
face
her-
tattoos.
this
That's
was-
not crazy to
No,
say.
this was her friend that
Oh,
was dating the guy.
Okay,
But
so your
he-
mom is just friend with ditzy whore women.
Yeah, yeah.
Your
Okay.
friend fucks. Your mom fucks by association. Is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
there you
Yeah.
go.
Your mom fucks knees.
Perfectly said. But you know, like beer pong, watch your elbows, watch your elbows. This dude was just breaking that rule, and I'm
Well,
looking
yeah,
at my-
he's been in lockup.
I'm looking
Breaking
at my
lots of
buddy.
rules.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying shit to this
He's
guy.
leaving his elbows in with whatever he does because he's been using his elbows as weapons for years now, Blake. Did you ever get into those reality shows about prison?
You know, I haven't, but recently Noah and I did watch that one where they like let them be out of their cells for like a while, like for like long periods of time, and
Okay.
like tried that and like the high security whatever.
That sounds not 60 days in, right?
No, it was one where like everybody was in forever, but they
They
were
were
like
there to stay.
being allowed to like be out in the common places and stuff for like 12 hours a day versus like being
Okay.
in their cells all but 1 hour a day. And it was this big experiment because it was like the guards came out, like they left the place, so they kind of had their own run of it.
Was that during COVID? Did they address that at all?
I don't remember. I don't
Because
remember if it was
like
during COVID.
I was addicted to this one show 60 Days In pretty recently, and it's the whole thing where they take 3 men and 3 women and throw them undercover as civilians to
yeah.
A, they're trying to find where drugs are coming from, and B, they really just want people to shoot while they're addressing the fucking craziness that's going on. Like, I clicked to the random episode of 60 Days In just to start, and I think I clicked in the middle of season 4 like episode 5. And the first episode I clicked on, some guy named Versace stabbed a guy in the ear hole. And I was like, whoa.
Oh.
Regular people are in here. Let's go, baby. I'm so in. And they describe like pit bosses and shit like that. It like the best episode there was, I think it was in the same season. If you're a 60 Days In fan, Daryl was the guy that they were talking to, I think. Oh fuck. But there was a younger kid. He was like 17 years old. His home life sucked. He got arrested for stealing, I think it was food from a Walmart, and his bond was like $250 to like clear him. $250 total. So it wasn't like $250 and your bond is like $25,000 or anything like that. And he called his mom to get bonded out, and she's like, "Nah, you could stay there for $250." So everyone takes this 17-year-old who is also like either borderline mentally challenged or just really not bright. It's sad to say, but it was walking that line. And they took him under his wing, and some guy tried to fight him. And the greatest episode was when this guy punched him in the face, and it didn't work. And the other guy took one step forward, and 75 angry men in jumpsuits all went, "All right, we're all going to collectively kill this man." The pit boss, who's just this huge dude, they called him Bull Rider because he used to be a cowboy or something like that. I can't remember. But he just picked up, I think the guy they were protecting, his name was Jay. He picked him up by the back of his suit and just turned him around behind him and set him down, and then turned back with his hands like this. I was like, oh my God. Oh, this is great. But if you love wild, crazy shit, like I honestly, if it wouldn't have fucked with me mentally, I want to work as a CO just to watch.
Just people watching.
I want to make friends with some of the jailbirds. I want to dislike the really bad ones and be on the cool one's side. And like, isn't that guy a fucking bitch? And like, this guy stabbed 15 people. Like, you're my friend. And I'm like, that's all I needed. Thank you, Versace, for being my friend right now. We can be friends on the outside, but in here, I'm your boss. Sorry. And it's so funny, too. You watch these episodes, and you look at all these COs, all these correction officers, and they're just, like, no disrespect on him, but they look like Noah. I love Noah, but I don't think Noah could stop 18 fucking criminals trying to break out of a jail. It's just guys that want to make $17 an hour, and that's their, I work for the jail. I get some benefits, and life's great. These poor sappy men.
Well, a lot of them are like aspiring cops. That's why they do it, because it's kind of like a stepping stone into law enforcement.
Or their step back.
That too.
I knew a couple cops that didn't make it. You're like, you didn't make it as a cop? Buddy. Like, you just got to put your name down. Oh. So, you went to UNT, right?
No, I went to Trinity in San Antonio.
Okay. So, what did you study before? Did you study... I don't know why I'm trying.
I was like, do you want to guess, or do you want me to tell you? I can tell you. I know the
I'm
answer.
going to guess forever. You do know the answer. I'm sorry. See, around here, we believe women should only be... So what did you go to school for? Because that always interests me.
I was a theater major with a creative writing minor.
Okay, I could have guessed that.
Yeah,
I should have just sat back and guessed.
Honestly, there weren't that many guesses I would have taken. No.
I should just look at the tie-dye shirt and like, well...
This is actually niche D&D merch.
She worked in floral. So what did you want to do with, like, did you actually want to go into acting and stuff like that, or did you want to be a writer, or like where was your mind at when you were going through?
So when I was in college, I really liked like playwriting. Like I wrote my first play when I was in high school, and then that like got put on at my high school as like the, it was, and so that was cool. And then I put on a few of the plays I wrote in college, and I was like the TA for the playwriting class and stuff, and that was really fun. I've always been bad. This is getting philosophical or whatever, or existential. But I've always been really
funny
bad.
enough. We can be philosophical now.
Exactly.
We're probably at about 50 minutes, and no one sticks around this long, anyways. So I talk too much for all that.
I do.
I've always had a hard time envisioning the future, so it's not really ever about like, oh, this is what I want to do with my life, and these are the steps to get here. It's like, I'm enjoying doing this right now, so I'll keep doing it for right now.
I don't mean to pause you, but this is a random question. How far into the future can you see? Because I think about this all the time. I don't know if I can get past 5 years in my head.
I have a hard, I can do about 5 years now that I'm an adult, but as a kid, it was like, I'm living day to day. Like, I can't.
Mom said we're getting meatloaf tomorrow, and that's about it. Like,
yeah.
that's...
What do you want to be when you grow up? Alive? Maybe, or dead. I don't know. Depends on the day. Like,
I want to be a space cowboy.
Yeah, I would say actress just because it seemed like a fun idea. But then when I grew up and figured out like where actresses are basically just like tools of the industry that get used and abused, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound fun.
Way to make
either.
that cheery,
like
but
it's like 12-hour days, more than that, like very few rights
for 9 months, and you're just sitting
yeah.
around waiting to be used.
You know, wearing like summer clothes in like a winter environment just because the scene is supposed to take place in summer, even though you're in England in January. Like,
Ruth, can you put your nipples away? No, I can't. No, I cannot.
You gotta jerk off sleazy producers, like.
oh yeah, yeah.
We're in
casting
Seattle trying to make
couches.
people think this is Arizona. Fuck you.
Yeah. yeah, no, once I actually got, and then I was like, well, writing, I really love, because I've always just loved anything involving words, as cheesy as that sounds. Like when I was a kid, I used to write like lyrics in my like planner, and they were awful and sucked, but I just had words I needed
10,000
to
hours.
get out of me.
You gotta get the shit out so you can get the good ones.
And so then it was playwriting, and I really loved that, but as a career, that's hard to do. And I also, it's just, I don't want to say I lost interest in it, but I wrote some plays, I had a good time, and then
That's this big guy over here.
yeah.
Screenwriter.
Screenwriter, nice.
That's how we
What the
met.
hell, yeah.
So that poster over there that might not even be in shot anymore, but that's how Blake and I met.
Cool.
He put on a movie for Dallas Media Tech, and that was his. Was that like a class project?
No, it was a snuff film.
Snuff-
You were supposed to die at the end, but we ran out of time.
Ran out of
I was
budget.
supposed to die? You never told me that. Why were you trying to kill me off, bitch? And that's bullshit, too, because now knowing the whole fucking script and talking behind the curtain with Blake, I know that I was a representation of him. Why are you
No.
trying to kill yourself, Blake?
Called out.
I've been hanging out with Jamie too much. I'm sorry.
I know. Very confrontational.
Lay off the steroids, man.
I just need to lay off the caffeine. That was so much. But yeah, no, like I had that too. Like I never knew what I wanted to be past. Like at that age, it was just like I want to be a third baseman because I was a third baseman, and that's about as far as you can
Yeah.
go in your head. And then when people asked, and I didn't want to tell them I wouldn't be a third baseman because most people were just mean. You're like, you can't be a third baseman.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're like, I'll be a vet. I remember saying that to everyone. I'm like, I want to fucking be a vet. It was
Like,
just a fucking quick answer to get out. And,
Veteran or veterinarian?
veterinarian.
Okay, okay.
There was a certain amount of time where I was going to be a vet too, but then my parents said no, which is for the best.
You aren't even interested in being in the army. You're interested in the part after the army when you're the vet.
I want to take care of the Army's horses.
I want to be in the army for a year and then tell everybody I'm a vet for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I want to sit at VFW halls and just play it up
Yeah.
way worse than it actually is.
Vietnam
Not
was-
saying that they aren't, but
No.
Yeah, I remember when I was in Vietnam. Paxton, you're 23. Yeah, I took a vacation there, motherfucker.
I remember, Nam, you were in the cafeteria. Shut the fuck up, Grandpa. You still have your hair now. It's in a shadow box. Quit being proud about that. Oh, I did that accidentally. So recently, I've been getting accidentally a little mean on stage. And I did it at the Shark Show, and I didn't mean to. But then 4 people came and said, "You did great." And I was like, "Well, great. I've been working on my anger problems, but thanks." But I've been getting angry on stage, and I was at Denton Graffiti Pasta. Shout out Denton Comedy Spot. They're doing
Hell
amazing.
yeah.
And specifically Graffiti Pasta as well. But I was doing the open mic, and I was upstairs at the bar. And at this point, I sit with the bartender and talk to him because he's quiet, and I'm quiet, and I don't want to sit down and listen to all my friends' comedy because it's bad, because I love them. But I'm sitting up top, and there's just a absolute blackout drunk guy, and he's kind of being a dick to the bartender, and I notice it, and I worked in restaurants long enough to just hate him or just immediately too. It's like when you get into a relationship and you're just supposed to assume all of the hatreds for someone else. That's how you do that. But I trauma bonded with the bartender, and then I go downstairs to do my set. Drunk guy walks in as I'm about to walk up for my set, so he's gonna fuck it up, and I just know it. And Caleb warns me beforehand, like, this guy's a problem. It's da-da-da-da.
It's like, Dad, what are you doing here? Anyways.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you talking about me?
No, because I had to ask that you did not heckle at the fucking Graffiti Pasta, because this dickhead went to Dusty's and apparently started heckling.
That's alleged. Like,
It's alleged because you're not even sure. Apparently you were that drunk.
I did throw up in the parking lot.
Fucking Blake.
Who hasn't? It's Dusty's.
Yeah, no shit.
I was the only fucking person there. Like,
I get up on stage at Graffiti Pasta, and not only is he being a little disruptive during the start of my set, but he's also in the very front row. And I'm doing my jokes, not even addressing him. And halfway through my joke, he just goes and takes a face-down nap on the table. And I should not have been, and I regret it now, but I was petty. I was petty as shit. I did not appreciate that. And I just look at it. Did he die? I was just looking at everyone around, and, and he gets back up, and we all start like fake cheering for him. But he's drunk enough to not realize that we're fake cheering for him. We're being mean.
Yeah.
And I start talking to him, and I can't. His name was Jimmy. Actually, I'm just gonna out him. His name was Jimmy. I asked him, "What does he do?" He's a CDL driver, and I say, "Please tell me you're not on work right now." He said, "I think he said no. I have no idea, to be honest." And then I remembered the way he said this was the problem with me. It's not exactly what he said, even though it sounds like it's about to be. But he said, "I'm the third generation CDL driver in my family." And I said way too fast because it was my first thought. And you're proud of that? I felt so bad now, but because like he starts going off more, and I go, "I'm sorry, but when I was a kid, my dad said I was gonna fuck up and become a CDL driver. Like that's what the losers did." And I just kept going, and everyone else is like starting to get uncomfortable, and I back off, and I have to immediately go apologize to Lauren, the lady that runs Graffiti Pasta and Denton Comedy Spot. I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, but he was mean to that little twink up top. I had to take care of him."
You didn't see the backstory.
I know. Yeah, so that was all to say I need to get back into therapy now.
You know, that's so funny because I remember one time at a comedy show where I was just like supporting friends. So I was in the audience and I was in the front row, not by choice, just like because that's where my friend's friend had sat that I got seated with kind of deal. And I have something called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS for short, which just sounds like I'm a drug addict, but it's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And it means I kind of just like lose consciousness sometimes, but it's a blood circulation thing. So like my blood has a hard time getting up to my brain. So when that happens, I
lose consciousness from like a blackout or like a narcoleptic perspective, like you
not
fall asleep.
Not asleep.
Okay,
like
you
a,
actually
like a
black
passing out. Like a
or
losing.
pass out.
Like I don't have enough blood in my brain, and I like start
you
seeing
faint.
spots.
Oh my
and,
gosh!
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. And there's different degrees of it. Sometimes it's like seeing spots, need to sit down, I can catch it in time. But in this particular time, like I don't really even know what caused it.
So
but,
standing up too fast for you is a bitch.
100%, 100%. But I was even sitting down, and I just felt it feels like my face is melting. I felt my face melt, and I was like, oh no. And so I put my hands like this, and I just kind of closed my eyes because I knew it was coming, and I was trying to make it look as normal as possible because I'm in the front row of a comedy show.
Oh no.
And I just remember my first priority was like, I need to get to the green room because luckily I know that I know comics at this show, so
Right,
I know where the green room is.
Hey, I'm not being a dick and
Yeah,
just
like-
pushy. I have to come.
So
sit down.
I get up and leave, and like I got out of there okay. And shout out to Kirsty Hayden. She was working at the Addison Improv that night and brought me a lot of water, and that was very helpful. But yeah, it was probably one of my most top 10 embarrassing moments of my life was realizing I was about to pass out in the front row of a comedy show as a comedian.
Oh no.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, recently I walked on stage, and if you watch long enough, you could probably tell that I used to have a stutter when I was a kid, and I worked on it, but every once in a while it comes back a little bit, and I get on stage, and I swear to God, the first 10 seconds, I just
Oh no.
I just could not get
And
words
they're
out.
like, stop stealing Drew Lynch's bit. Like
No, but it was funny to watch them go from, "Oh, this is a funny bit," to like 5 seconds later, is he having a stroke? And then there's the ultimate moment where you gotta go, so airplane food.
You know, I remember I was very fortunate and got to be one of the first people to headline the Comedy Arena after renovations. And I was the first woman to ever sell out the Comedy Arena, which is like one of those things I put on my
yeah.
EPK just as like a
Fuck
thing.
you, every other lady with a vagina.
Yeah, it sounds
This
so
one
like,
won.
It sounds so mean to other women when I put it that way, but I wasn't the first person to sell
We're
out the
supportive feminists, but fuck you, kinda.
But I bring that up to say when I did that, I was very excited that it was sold out and it was my first headlining weekend and all that stuff.
Rightfully so.
My first 10 minutes on stage, I had my mic off. And there were people in the back of the room signaling me the whole time, but I thought they were like, I don't know.
Murdering right now.
Exactly. I thought they were
These
really
sign
getting into
language
my set.
interpreters don't even know how to.
Having a little...
By nature's hip hop array.
So finally, somebody comes up to me on stage and is like, you have to turn your mic on. Because it's a small enough room that people are hearing me and laughing, so I can't tell something's wrong because it's a tight enough space. And so I turn it back on and I go, thank you guys for coming to the Comedy Room. Thanks. Gotta have my hair done this week, which was like my first joke. Just started over from the beginning. It's all I could do.
Oh God, it's so funny too, because I'm at a point now where I'm long enough in to where it doesn't feel like I'm a douchebag when I say I look back onto the early time I was doing stand-up. Not the early years, because it's been 2 of them, but like the early times I was looking back, and I see people that I now know weren't as good as I thought they were, but just along that adage of I'm going to have to get on stage too here eventually, so I know they're getting on stage, and just watching someone go from a fuck-up to like saving it as you're a new comic, you're like, this guy is better than Cat Williams. This is God.
Yeah.
Why is no one signing this fucking reinterpretation? He is Mecca. Like, and you're like, oh no, he was just super nervous, and in all actuality, he kind of fumbled the bag a little bit.
Somebody get him a comedy class to teach. Let's.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one, but it also hurts because we're talking shit about the people that fucking teach comedy classes, but I've never been asked.
True, no one's ever asked me either, so, you know.
Hey, Paxton, will you teach these people how to tell a long story that ultimately comes to nothing? You're like, oh,
Got you.
I don't even know how I do it, sweetheart, so they're going to have to figure out. Oh, Blake, will you do me a favor and go to TMZ? This is where Blake gets his news now. So we have come together to decide that this is a very good topic and theme to get to, in that we just go to TMZ and see what wacky people are doing.
Cool.
The first time we did this on the podcast, we watched a lady set her husband on fire. So we have no idea how this is going to go. Oh, but it's immediately about politics.
It's immediately. I was going to say today it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, also as of today, officially, Biden just dropped out of the running.
No shit.
That happened on my way here, yeah.
Damn. Well, I was driving here too.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're also going to be able to watch this and give it a back date, so. But as of today, Biden just dropped out of the race, which is, it's so weird. Like, that needed to happen, and I'm not leaning one way or the other. I just want chaos at this point, in all honesty, because I want to lead my own faction of troops.
We're back to the cult leader thing.
I know, it comes back a lot.
What I'm learning is you're going to be a gay cult leader as soon as the apocalypse kicks off.
NXIVM Part 2. Here we go. I finally did we never delved deep into NXIVM, but I finally researched more about it. We should have I shouldn't have fucked that up and got scratch and sniff. NXIVM is interesting as fuck because it was a gay man who just ran a cult and was fucking all the dudes around. But he was a gay actor at first. We could what is that? Oh. Catch Me Outside lady, Bad Baby, just recently got into some sexual violence, I believe.
You know what's better for comedy than politics is domestic violence.
Yeah, because that doesn't immediately
That's
bring
the
up
old
flags.
adage. Yeah.
What? Not to break this up. What time is Kenny going to be here?
Is this clock right?
No, it's 2 hours off, so it's 4.
Okay.
It's 4 o'clock now.
It's 4 o'clock, and I don't have my phone, so he could be here.
Is he behind me?
He is fucking standing in the shadows.
Yeah.
Blake, will you do me a favor and go unlock and kind of sort of perch the front door open?
The door's unlocked, so.
Oh, he is here. He's right there. He's right there.
Shout out to Kenny Lee in the audience. Buddy, I am so sorry if you've been texting me.
No, you're great. Thank you.
Great podcasting right now. But Kenny, if you need anything, there's stuff in the fridge and there's snacks over in the kitchen if you need anything. Is it the fat one or the skinny one? There is a skinny one. I got a second one. She is lost in the ether, dude. She's still terrified of me. Nothing, dude. Nothing.
No, it's
I've got to close the door and lay on that bed that's in there that they have now assumed is theirs, and just lay there for 45 minutes until she accepts me.
No, it's the same cat. It just has AIDS.
No, I didn't get a Bill King cat. Fuck you. Yes, the fat one who will let you pick him up. Yes. Sorry about that. This is what happens when you're a bad host. And I don't mean even of the podcast. I'm not doing a great job, but I just mean a house host. I'm not welcoming enough. That's awesome. I feel so bad. Oh, man. But, okay, so going back to the Bad Baby thing, isn't it, not to sound super morbid, but that's what it's going to sound like. Isn't it crazy that she's famous enough to where her getting hit is a news line?
I think she did a good job of owning her moment. I think that's all the way media is these days, like there's a
Writing
like
your
the
15
Huck
minutes
to
of
a
fame
girl.
out.
Like there's like it all depends on how you no
She's
offense,
getting
Huck
a-
to a girl didn't do a great job capitalizing. I don't think she waited too long and doesn't
No.
want to be known as a Huck to a girl.
Well, I
Whereas,
completely
like,
understand.
I get it. I get it. But if you do it right, like it's all what happens.
She's getting a documentary. I'm sorry to cut you off, Blake, but Hawk Tuah Girl is getting a documentary.
Interesting.
I like her.
I think she's very attractive, and she's saying that everyone has ever said after a breakup forever, she's just a hack. Like, I'm just waiting for her to say one more thing that's basically a street joke. And you're like, you had nothing in the chamber.
With the Catch Me Outside girl, she just posted her OnlyFans, like how much money she's made off of that since she started doing it.
Yeah.
$60 million fucking dollars.
Bad Baby made
Wow.
$60 mil off of
Not
OnlyFans?
even
Wow.
like no Photoshop, like legit. She made $60 million off OnlyFans.
Jesus Christ.
That's called capitalizing.
Yeah,
on your,
that's how you
on your
capitalize.
5 minutes.
Yeah, genuinely.
Wow, because she was just a hellion kid that went on Dr. Phil. That's incredible.
We live in a great fucking country.
Yeah, dude, you can be a bad kid.
It's the American dream, motherfucker.
No wonder all these kids fucking suck. Like, they're all the worst. Some lady hit me with not lady. I think she was 19 years old. But she hit my car very minorly, caused a little bit of cosmetic damage. Are you about to cut me off because we're running on time?
No.
Okay, my bad. You took a breath like you needed to cut me off.
No.
And I need to do better about paying attention to you.
No,
Blake.
I'm just
sorry.
fat.
Oh,
I'm out of breath.
I only laugh because that comes from a place of relation. I completely when you talk yourself out of breath, or God forbid, eat yourself out of breath. That's a real fucking low point. I don't even know. Does anyone remember where I was? No. Oh, man.
I legitimately don't.
I feel like that's probably the best place to stop, too. Just don't even keep me going, because I'll just fuck it up. But Ruth, please, thank you so much for coming. You were
Absolutely.
great, and thank you for
having me.
sitting here with my fucking derailments and
Oh, you were
just
incredible.
riding the wave with me. But if you will please plug your socials and anything you have coming up soon, and we'll get that shot out and also clipped up so we can get people a clip of you promoting Braced as well to go watch on YouTube. So go watch Braced on YouTube. It's a very great comedy special. I'm glad I got to watch it as well. You've been doing great. So please plug and promote your social media for everyone.
Yeah, so my name is Ruth Banks. It's probably the easiest way to find me online because my username is funny for a girl, so it's funny _ girl. Ruth Banks is probably how you'll find me. You can the best things to check out would be my album Screwed or my special Braced. Braced is on YouTube, and then I'm so bad at knowing things I've got coming up. I'd have to like pull out my iPhone calendar. Yeah, really, the special and the album are where I want people to look the most. So that would be
Heck yeah.
that would be the best things. I like those parts of my comedy career memorialized. So that's what you can go check out.
Perfect. So please go check out her special. And also, she frequents Frankie's
Frankie's.
Underground. Yeah, that was real bad. That was that stutter and speech. Full back into my speech impediment. Damn it. She frequents Frankie's often. She's there all the time. Noah's running a great thing there. So please come check out live comedy and support. Other than that, go to watch her YouTube special on Claws Out Comedy's page. And please like and follow on her page and our page as well. Please follow me at pbailey_comedy and Dingbat District Pod on Instagram. And you're already watching the YouTube, so just hit subscribe and like and keep coming back every week for new episodes. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.